Oh, Michelle's not. Okay. Wonder what?
You got a quorum.
We have a quorum. We'll start. Yeah. We don't need her. Well, we need her, but we don't need her to talk about anything till bond authorizations, that sort of thing. Okay. We set?
So,
Okay. Good evening, everyone, live and on Zoom. Welcome to the regularly scheduled July meeting of the Village of Tuxedo Park Board of Trustees. I call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, trustee Tenari,
present.
trustee Turner,
Present.
and trustee Sharaviasum,
Present.
and then Mayor Citron.
Present.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Lindsay, I guess she's going to be late, but she's not present at the moment. All right. May everyone in the room, would everyone in the room stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I have just a few comments to make. First of all, people on Zoom, can you see the new seal we got underneath the table? A nice addition, I think. It blends in well with the table, but now when anybody watches a video of any of our meetings, whether it's the Board of Trustees or the appointed boards, they'll know what they're watching based on the seal. So thank you, John, for ordering it. And we got it at a relatively cheap price. I think that it was less than $200. And so I was very pleased with that. The other point I'd like to make is this was a very quiet June. It was very quiet for the first time in a long time because we've always had June elections. I don't know how many people remember that, but we've moved our elections to November. To anyone who was wondering why there was no hubbub last month, and our election will be at the same day as the national and state elections. So we have that to look forward to in slightly cooler weather. So with that being said, Deputy Mayor has just arrived. Any comments from you, ma'am?
No, just we have further things on the agenda, so I can talk about that
Sure.
at that time.
Okay. Trustees, Trustee Turner.
I just have to say the mayor and I spent some time on the dog revision. I think we got to a good place where we can all be supportive, which is great. And at some point, we're hoping to also talk about one, whether that can go to all village residents.
We'll put that on the agenda for August, the WEWA,
Awesome.
to get the discussion moving. Yes, we were able to work out the language that was amenable to you, amenable to me, and hopefully amenable to the majority of the board. Okay, thank you.
The only thing is, I think you put in one of your monthly messages, but if anybody has a eye for website design, I think we need to, Rachel and I were saying we need to finalize that. And
someone reached out to me and said he's willing to volunteer to work on someone with real tech experience. I then unfortunately had to go to Florida with Sheila. But I came back and I actually wrote to him a couple of days ago. I'm waiting for a response. But he's a village resident and he seems to have a lot of experience.
Right.
So as soon as he gets in touch with me, I'll refer him to you.
Okay.
And then you can begin the work on the new website or continue the work on the new website. Trustee Shara. Trustee Shara,
Josh,
are you frozen?
Frozen, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if Josh has any comments, he can certainly make them when he's back on.
good photo.
Okay. So, public comment, starting in the room. Anybody?
you're back, Josh.
Oh, Josh, you're back. Yeah, you froze. Do you have any trustee comments you'd like to make?
My only comment is I'm gonna drop off and try and get on a better Wi-Fi network.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Shara. He's in the great state of Ohio this evening on Lake Erie. Not a bad place to be in this heat, but closer to the fires, which is not so good. All right. With that being said, public comment again. First, anyone in the room wish to speak? Jay Reichgott, you're recognized for public comment.
My name's Jay Reichgott. I live at 121 Lawrence Road. On the agenda today is some discussion about the commercial use of outbuildings for by residents. I sent you guys a long email with a bunch of attachments, which I'm not gonna read to you. But up until 2011, the beginning of 2011, home occupations were permitted use in the village. And they had very strict rules. And some of those rules included, you could have a business, but you couldn't have any clients come to your business. You couldn't have patients come. You couldn't advertise that gave your Tuxedo Park address. The code also recognized filming, using your place as a place for someone to come and shoot a movie, as a business, as a home occupation. And in order to do that, you had to get a permit from the board. In 2011, or at the end of 2010, there was a decision made to put a moratorium on home businesses and discuss them. And I'm not entirely clear why that happened. I've talked to some residents who were around, and it may have had something to do with the lawsuit about the front gate, and it may have had something to do about the green incidents up at my end of the park. But in any event, the decision was made by the village board that the rules about home businesses, which seem to be intended to prevent traffic of outsiders into the park and sort of protect this magical bubble that we have here in the park, were unenforceable and unwieldy. And to solve this problem, they simply said, home occupations are no longer a permitted use in the park. And so local law 1 of 2011 removed home occupations as a permitted use, removed the section about permits for home occupations, removed the section about using your home for a studio or an office, and as a side effect, changed one of the conditions of the filming permit, the one that says business or capital gain, or whatever the exact wording is. That used to say business and capital gain unless you got a permit. And now it just says business and capital gain. The intention back then in 2011 was clear: to reduce the inflow of outsiders, for whatever reason, into the park. It's my personal feeling that that desire of the park residents to maintain our sanctuary hasn't changed in the last 15 years. And so I'd just like you to keep that in mind in your discussions. Now, I did send you a bunch of paper, and I'd be happy to talk about it later when it's your time, not my time, if you have questions about what I sent, but that's where we are.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rushcott. Anyone else in the room have public comment? Okay, seeing none, Josh is back?
No.
Okay, great. Any public comment from anyone joining on Zoom? Please raise your hand. I don't see any hands being raised at this point. So there's a second opportunity at the end of the meeting for public comment. If anybody wants to stick around, they're free to reserve their comments both tonight or anything else. All right, let's move on to reports, oral and written. Ava Rotazzi, our beach manager, was to be here via Zoom. However, she's been delayed and may appear later, and we'll take her out of turn if she shows up. And if not, we'll get a report from her in August. The court reports are attached to the record, so the first live report will be from our police chief, Alan Faust.
Good evening. For the month of June, the police department responded to 143 calls. They issued 8 traffic tickets, 14 warning tickets. They had 2 fire alarms, 1 intrusion alarm, 1 medical call, 3 assists to the town police department, 1 to another agency. They patrolled 2,518 miles and approximately 799 cars per day. Also, I'm asking requesting board authorization to hire Peter Connolly as a part-time police officer. Peter is a long MTA police officer, and retired today, actually, for a 30-year career with the MTA. And was just to a very personable guy, accolades from all his partners and references and bosses. I think he'd be a good fit here, and the MTAA doesn't fall under the 35,000 retiree cap. So I might be able to work him a little bit more, and some of the other guys to be able to fill in some of the shifts to try to keep the overtime down in the future. The new civil service list is coming out next month, so, we could be, a couple of our younger guys who could be losing again, that they're gonna be picked up somewhere full time. With that, and lastly, our upgrade was done to the south gate, so that's up and working again. If you have communication with the south gate, and that's working fine. There's a big law enforcement LA Tech grant out that I'm looking into applying for, to do like a total gate upgrade for, both the front and the south gate. We'll see how that goes. And there's also a Cops More grant that's out through the federal government, which could be for, computers or employees, or it's very, very broad, so it could be just about anything. So we'll see with those two. I'm also looking into, we have that does our training, Lexipol, that they have some branch services, or the board's view of, possibly hiring a grant writer or getting somebody on board, get a price to help with some of these larger grants. That we could look into that, could be able to save the village a lot of money if we get a couple of these things. And lastly, about the Southgate, we need to have a little discussion about, there's some, it's a little unclear, really where this board wants to stand, and there's different views of traffic coming in the Southgate besides just residents and, employees back and forth to the club, or the ones that just aren't in the system. Numerous times, of course, the postal truck, the FedEx, UPS is that way, which on the one hand, it keeps the traffic down going through the whole park if there's a delivery on that side of the park, which, keeps the traffic down a little bit. But on the other hand, I guess, they are screened just as good. I mean, not face to face with a police officer, but on camera, of course, their plates are still red, they're in our system and everything else. But I think the board will just have to make a decision on, do they want that gate totally shut down to any other traffic besides, a resident calling and say, hey, I got, somebody coming through, or do we want to just, there's a lot of Uber Eats coming, there's a lot of, all that stuff at all hours of the day.
Well, I think there are two issues here. I'm not quite sure whether you're addressing one or both. One is the automatic reader. And the question becomes, for example, with school buses, which unfortunately, because of the camera position, we can't have school buses automatically enter. I don't know how many people would have an objection to a school bus entering, but we'd have to reposition the cameras, and you indicated that was a problem. So the question is, do we put these plates with respect to FedEx or UPS into the automatic reader, or are you suggesting that they be permitted to stop, speak to the booth through the communication system, and then based upon the camera view of the vehicle that requests entry, get the gate to be opened remotely by the booth officers?
That's how it's going now. So a lot of people, or even maintenance guys, doing stuff on that end of the
Are we
road.
letting these folks in?
Some, definitely UPS, Uber Eats and that stuff that have delivery. They've been coming through a little bit, but that's where we want to have the discussion on. Do we want everyone?
Yeah, the problem I see with Uber Eats is you're talking about private passenger vehicles, and you have no idea who these people are. Obviously, a U.S. FedEx driver or a UPS driver comes in a big truck, you could assume they're here on business to deliver packages. So I think we really have to have a discussion about how we utilize the South Gate, because it seems, based on what you said, that we may be a little insecure in terms of who we're letting into the village. So anybody else have any
I'd say
points to make?
Chief, I'd love to talk with you offline. Maybe you and I can connect and
Sure.
come up with what we think's a proposal and then bring it to the board.
Well, that was your Bally Week anyways.
Yeah.
Front gate security. Now it's South Gate
Now it's
security. Okay, that's great.
I have a question. When Uber Eats comes or somebody like that, that's, not FedEx or UPS, do you specifically ask for the name and address where they're going? So it's somewhat legitimate?
Yes, they do. They, say they're Uber Eats, they give the address. They usually show their phone with, that the address that they have on it.
Chief, how's the audio now between the South Gate and your officers? Is it really good or?
Yeah, it's much better. And there's a call button on there, so they just have to hit the button right
So there's
now.
real two-way communication now.
It is, yeah.
Great,
It's,
awesome.
it's much better. That was a well-needed upgrade. Like, so we could talk at another time, but we can make that gate as secure as could be.
Right.
I just know, like, a lot of the residents, they really just request that. It's saving everybody so much time if, the people could just come through the back, their friends or relatives or whatever, or even, or deliveries, but we just have to make a.
Well, we'll let Trustee Turner handle that. And there's a second issue that was actually raised by a resident who wrote me an email, who said he's very unhappy with the fact that these delivery drivers are permitted to enter the village at very late hours. I spoke to the chief, and he tells me they shut them off at the midnight shift with respect to deliveries. However, food and medicine can come in at any time. So I think that as part of your discussion, you should address the issue of whether we're going to restrict delivery hours for whatever the product is to certain, as a cutoff.
What was the complaint? Just the person knows they're delivery people and not.
No. It was about all these vehicles rushing around the village late at night. His cutoff time, his proposed cutoff time was 9:30, which I think is kind of ridiculous. But he also indicated that he was absolutely opposed to Sunday deliveries. So you get a sense of his.
I thought there was already restriction on deliveries for non-food and non-groceries.
Oh, we kind of,
Yeah.
we addressed that last year and we decided that, that people really, wanted to get to the times now and feel that, their Amazon and packages and that kind of stuff, should be delivered 7 days a week.
Okay. Let's.
But appliances and stuff, if you,
Like a big truck.
Big
you
truck.
can
Oh, yeah.
do Sunday.
yeah, those who can't
Yeah,
come in.
still, I mean, there's no like construction delivery
Yeah,
or anything like that on.
Or moving vans
Yeah,
or
exactly.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'll
So you
cover that as well.
work it out. Okay, great. All right. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. Jeff, you're up.
Good evening. Over the last month, a lot more fallen trees we've picked up. The end of East Lake Road, Turtle Mountain Road, Leroy Road, Lower Continental Road, Tuxedo Road, and Westlake Road. We've done a lot of patching potholes on East Lake, Pepperidge, and Patterson Brook Road. Also blacked out the gutter on Patterson Brook Road. We weed whacked the edges and cut brush on pretty much all village roads. Trimmed the bushes and trees here at the village office and put mulch in the beds, clean drains and catch basins, worked on trucks and equipment. Last month, I think I told you that we installed signs on Summit Road, children at play signs. We had complaints of people going too fast there. Water and sewer, we cleared a sewer blockage at 20 Ridge Road. Doing second quarter water meter readings. We worked with Leak Detection Company on Camp Comfort and Tower Hill Road areas. We repaired a 1-inch water service line by Hickory Hollow Nursery. We responded to a resident on Lookout Road. He had low water pressure, and we found that his neighbor, who has a booster pump, the pump was constantly running, not shutting off, which was causing his water pressure problems. Repaired one water meter, replaced one water meter, performed utility markouts. I also mentioned last month that we had one of our pumps at the Mount Farm Pump Station fail. There are 2 pumps there. I ordered a new one. It's in and it's going to be installed on Monday, this coming Monday.
I really like what you did outside here of Village Hall. Looks great. And I've been getting lots of compliments on Summit Road, by the way.
Jeff, you and I just want the board to, you won't be here when we enter into executive session. You and I discussed one of the roads in the village and possibility of transferring that road. We'll discuss it in executive session based on the road and the properties that are aligned to it. You personally don't have any objection to that. And I think you said that snow plowing is very difficult on that annex, that and you would have no objection to us if we were able to transfer that road to private ownership. Okay, thanks.
One other thing that I'd like to ask the board. If with the GIS system and the mapping of the stormwater drains and catch basins, we still need a little time to get used to that, doing that system. I would like to, if you'll allow me, to get the 2 people that came last year when we were doing it. I think we would need them for a day, 2 at the most, to try to wrap it up. It would be
much more efficient. Josh,
I don't think the cost was.
Josh's bailiwick. We'll let him talk on that.
Jeff, what is the what is it that they provide that you don't have? And presumably this is from Weston and Sampson. Is that right?
Correct. And I think I think there were 4 days last year, and we only used 3 of them. But John and I actually have another meeting set up with Daniel Shinnick, who did the tutorial with us on the iPad for early next week. But with my guys working with Weston and Sampson guys, they just go. And I just think it's going to take too much time.
That's fine. It sounds like this is a technological issue. Still continues to be a technological issue, Jeff.
Yes, and like I said, John and I are going to have another little tutorial where we'll actually go out in the field where we just repaired the water line I was talking about and try to put all that in. And then once we get that down, then I'll start adding I've gone back to repairs that we've made over the last year or 2, and then
That's
I can
great.
start putting that stuff in once.
So what's your so I heard 2 different things. So I heard that you're going to have another tutorial, but it sounds like what you're saying is this would be a lot more efficient and we'd get through it a lot quicker if you had Weston and Sampson people on site for a couple of days.
I think a day and a half, 2 at the most, to do the stormwater to wrap that up.
And so let's separate the issues. That's for the stormwater. Get that wrapped up. What you're talking about as well is just learning the system for purposes of repairs and making sure that those repairs to the sewage system and the water system are getting properly input into the GIS system.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, I mayor and deputy mayor and other trustees, I'd be supportive of that. I think this is important. We've been talking about it a long time. we have the systems to do it. Jeff's clearly asking for help. And if it truly is a day and a half, 2 days, I think it's worth the time, effort, and investment.
Okay, we have no idea though what the cost is gonna be. You have some estimate that we can approve?
Up to amount?
But I think it was a couple $1,000
Oh,
last
okay.
year.
All right. Okay, anybody else have any comment? All right, I think we don't need a resolution for that. You go ahead and do what you have to do to get it done.
Okay.
I mean, that
Thanks,
would
Jeff.
come under our engineering on-call services,
Yeah, there's
right?
money in the budget.
Yeah, there's money in it.
Okay,
No other questions?
no other questions. Anybody else? Any questions, Josh?
No,
Yeah,
thanks,
no
Jeff.
question.
I appreciate the update.
Thanks, Jeff. All right. All right, next up, John?
Most of the projects have been proceeding pretty well. We had 2 violations that the homeowners are working on. One's been a little problematic on Tower Hill Loop, but I met with the property owner today and he's gonna try to correct some of the items that really were not proper. And the violation on Crow's Nest Road is proceeding. I have an inspection with him by the end of next week to see how that's moving along. Also, the project at the bottom or halfway up Summit Road on the left, which has been slow, they have started to do more work. They started to slate the roof at the entrance to the property, and I'm told they're gonna start doing the stone work very shortly on those retaining walls going up the hill. So that's moving ahead as well. Also in the near future, we'll probably be getting a letter from the property owner or engineer at 182 Tuxedo Road. The planning board approved the maximum buildable envelope and the project really from a planning board perspective this past early this week. But there is an extensive amount of soil that's supposed to be removed and then replaced with structural fill. And that requires a permit from the village board as far as removing and replacing soil. They're also requesting a temporary entrance, which also kind of falls under the board's jurisdiction for a temporary road cut. So once we get that letter, perhaps we should meet and I'll brief you about the project. And then we can make a decision.
Driveway already?
Yes, there's already a driveway off of the intersection of Tower Hill Road and Tuxedo Road. But they're requesting a temporary driveway on the opposite side of the property because they don't think they can get their construction
Break in the
material.
wall.
Yeah, there's an existing break in the wall.
That's not the driveway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Driveway is comes from the other side.
Can we do that over email or do we have to do it?
Let's get the letter first. I can send you some paperwork and then we can have some questions, and it does require approval from the trustees. The reason for the temporary road cut is because of getting deliveries and also hopefully facilitating the removal and importation of
You'll let
soil.
us know if you recommend it, right?
Yes, and there's going to be some questions, and there may be the need to require some type of bonds because of the condition of the road, and maybe some type of maintenance bond because I think there'll be a fair amount of traffic coming and going.
I spoke to John about this project, which, because of the nature of the work that has to be done, is gonna be a huge project with a lot of construction equipment, a lot
On there. It's an empty lot when you turn down to the causeway.
of work taking place. And I just like the board to consider, we don't have to make a decision tonight, of course, whether in order to avoid having to look at this work, which is going to take a long time. I mean, the whole project is 18 months, maybe.
The basic building permit is good for 18 months. They can legally request 2 6-month extensions.
We might want to require as part of our permit, a construction fence, around the wall. So people who are driving don't have to look at that dig, over a long period
That's a
of
good
time.
suggestion.
But it's worth considering. I mean, this isn't the city where you would have to put up a construction fence on any site, but still, in this case, it might be worth it. That's just a suggestion we should consider. Okay.
Just a few other things.
No, well,
Or even just a
did you
mesh or
find
something.
the EAF that was discussed Tuesday night?
Yes, it was sent to us back in, I think, February,
Oh,
and we have it.
Okay.
So we have it now. Two other things. I was able to get the roof at the Weewaa Beach Club replaced for nothing, no cost,
Really?
donated by a local roofer.
Oh,
Wow.
amazing.
And I also met with a different electrician who has offered, he'd like to get the job, but he has offered through his contact to get a generator for cost,
Oh, wow.
which should be a savings. But there is a fair amount of install work that will need to be. So hopefully,
This is at the
that's-
police station.
That's at the.
yeah, it's a police station. Yeah,
Police
the
station.
generator's a police station, sorry.
Not at the Weewaa.
Who's the
Yeah.
contractor who did the?
Are you able to tell us?
I don't know. I'd rather not.
Oh, okay.
But it's been unrepaired, entirely replaced,
Really?
and it's
Just
done.
there today. I didn't look up. Okay.
We should,
Great. That's amazing.
thank
And
them.
I'm sorry, I haven't had the chance, and I don't know if I have the resources to get the dock repaired, but that's
Yeah,
another,
that's in bad shape.
That's in bad shape.
Real.
We have to do it before next season for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
It's actually a liability.
I didn't let my kids go up there this weekend because it's bad.
All right, so
That's the big-
that's it. Thanks, John. Okay. Water Department is attached to the record. Treasurer reports are attached to the record. I don't see Ava. So I'll make a motion that all written reports be included in the record. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All right, thank you. Okay, we start with old business. Trustee Turner has proposed an amended dog law, essentially the unaccompanied dog law, which was discussed previously. He's made certain amendments to it and has requested that we consider it. Unfortunately, we cannot do that tonight because the amendments, Trustee Turner's amendments would be considered substantial changes. So we have to schedule a public hearing. So I'd like to schedule one for next month.
okay.
So I'd make a motion that we schedule a public hearing on the proposed amended dog law. And do I have a second? Okay.
Before you do, I would just say that the intent of the law doesn't actually change. These are just slight wording changes, so.
That is correct, but we've received, we have to have a public hearing.
Understood.
Yeah.
But I don't want the public to think that it materially changes the law.
Okay, anyway, the motion is to hold a public hearing at the August board meeting, which is on,
20th, I think.
let's see, I should always have that information. I never do. Hold on. Yes, you are correct, Deputy Mayor. It is the 20th, on August 20th at 7 PM. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Trustee Turner, all in favor?
Aye.
and I'll be here for that.
I will.
You will?
Yeah,
I will.
Great.
back to 19.
I will.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll have a quorum of 3 at least, and perhaps, do you and I on that, Trustee Scherer?
On what is this?
I know,
I'm sorry.
scheduling a public hearing for
Yeah.
August 20th on the amended dog law.
Oh, you know
Yep.
what? I lied. I'm not gonna be back then.
Okay, all right, well, we'll have the public hearing, maybe we'll put off the vote till September. Okay? Okay, all right, so then, now we move on, Trustee Scherer, to your issues involving the Phragmites removal, followed, the Phragmites removal, please.
Yep. So Phragmites, for those of you who are not aware, is a plant. It's a reed-like plant. There's information that was posted to the village site, along with the Zoom information, I believe I provided maps for where the Phragmites is located on the main lake. It's primarily located at the south end of the lake. We do have, if you go to the Tuxedo Club boathouse, there is a little bit that's sprung up there. And we also have quite a bit on the Weewaa, both on the north east shore along the Ho property, but also between just south of the Weewaa Beach Club on the west side. The problem with Phragmites is, like a number of plants. I don't know if anyone has wisteria, very similar. It digs deep roots, and you can chop away at the top, and you're not killing the plant. It will continue to survive. There's an issue of Phragmites that's in the water and Phragmites that's in the land on land. That whole root system is connected. You can deal with the Phragmites in the water by simply cutting below the water line and drowning the plant, but the reality is you still have an issue on the land. There's two different ways to or methods for controlling it. There along with the village agenda, there's a proposal from GEI from 2025, which the board did not act on, which lays out the two different methodologies. One is to use herbicide. There's a glyphosate option and a non-glyphosate option, but they're both herbicides and obviously have secondary impact to the surrounding environment. And then there's a non-herbicide option. There's also an issue of remediating the Phragmites that's on private property. We need landowner permission to do it, and that leads to a natural question of who pays for this. We've had these discussions at the Lakes Committee. The proposal is that the cost be shared between the village and the property owner, basically 50-50. The idea being that this is a benefit to the property owner. If the Phragmites is not remediated or controlled, it can spread and will spread often pretty rapidly and dramatically, which just exponentially increases the cost. I don't know if Paul Cusi is in the audience today. He has a property. He's a member of the Lakes Committee. He has a property on the south end of the lake, the southwest side of the lake. He had significant Phragmites on his property, both in the lake and on land, which he personally remediated. I don't want to speak out of turn and talk about how much he spent, but it was a very significant sum of money. I think it's in the interest of the village and property owners to deal with this while we can. One mitigating factor, which is worth noting and should be just included in our thinking. And by the way, we're not going to approve moving forward with the contract tonight because we need a fresh proposal. But so I'll get to what I do need from the board in a second. But one mitigating factor for the Tuxedo Lake and particularly the main lake is that we have very sharp and steep sides to the lake. And where Phragmites really thrives is in shallow, marshy type water, which is exactly what we have at the south end of the lake. So I think on our main lake, the main risk is at the south end, and there's a possibility that it could creep up from the south along the eastern side of the lake. There's really no danger on the western side because, as you know, there's a causeway there that's sharp and it's a steep incline. It's covered in rocks. So I think the risk on the main lake is limited. And Paul Cusi, again, on his own dime, has taken out a big chunk of it. I do think we have more risk on on the Weewa Lake that should be addressed. There is an application process. There's two applications that we need to apply for, I think with the New York State DEC. One would be a herbicide application. If we decided to go that way, it's only $100. I would suggest we get that just with the, in case we decide to move forward with that. The other is just.
Hey,
the
Josh.
other- Yeah.
So just a quick question. Is the herbicide, it sounds like the name sounds familiar to me. Is it the same as we use for the milfoil or is it a different one?
It's completely different.
Totally different.
Completely different. Yeah. And we would not be dumping that amount of glyphosate into our lake. That would probably lead to, issues. So it's a different herbicide.
I have
So-
a question.
Yeah,
sorry.
can I just finish? I'm very
Sure.
close to finishing. So
Sure.
if you guys could just give me like 15 more seconds. There's another application. So there's an Article 24 application. There's an Article 15 application. We need both of them. Well, you need one of them for sure. You need the second one if there's going to be a herbicide treatment. Our lake manager does not want to apply for these permits until we have landowner buy-in to do this, because without it, certainly the DEC is going to ask us if we have it, and if we don't, then we're just back to square one. So an initial step, first of all, the Lakes Committee believes that this is an issue we need to deal with. The first step is to get landowner permission. We know whose private property this is on. I'd like to ask that John reach out to the landowners with a proposal to split the cost for remediation, and hopefully get their permission to move forward. And I'm assuming that we will hear. We should let them know that there's a couple of different options. They may have a view as to what they're willing to allow to, happen on their land.
I have one question, Josh. With respect to the landowners, how many are there whose permission we would have to receive? Do we know?
I think it's limited. There is a spreadsheet that John has. I think I forwarded it to the board. I think it's less than 5.
Okay. And in your opinion, would we need permission from all 5 to make this project worthwhile? In other words,
I think there's 2 that we need, both on the Weewa. I think we need permission for the northeastern part of the Weewa, and then the area just south of the lake. I'm forgetting who the property owners are. John may have that information, but I think those 2, in addition to village owned property, would be sufficient to significantly dent the Phragmites population.
So what is it that you want from us tonight? Authorization for what?
For John to reach out to the property owners with, proposing to split the cost of remediation with them and get their permission to actually remediate.
Would we need a current proposal from GEI to at least present to them for the purposes of knowing the cost involved?
I don't know that that's going to be particularly helpful, Mayor, because it really is it's basically a daily rate, and depending on how much needs to be clear is going to depend on the cost. So we're not going to be able to give these people a good estimate of what the ultimate cost is going to be, and that may be that may make it hard to get buy-in. And maybe what we need to do is just in the first instance get their permission to remediate, and and talk about the economics later. To be honest, I don't know how to solve the issue. If I were a landowner, I'd want to have a good sense for how much this was going to cost.
Right. That's
So
fair.
The old proposal that you said, had a range of 1 to 3 days, right, at the daily rate, so.
1 to 3 days, and that was just for the WeWa, which is where most of our
just
issues
WeWa.
are. I will tell you, if I mean, I'm based on how much I know Paul Cusi has spent remediating. I'm somewhat skeptical by those estimates.
So Josh, I'm glad to hear you say, or not glad, but I was trying to reconcile the earlier comment with the quote here.
Yes.
It doesn't look that material, but it sounds like someone spent a small fortune already on it.
Yeah, with that being said, Mr. Cussy is on the Zoom call, and I would give
Okay.
him the opportunity, if he would like, to comment on what we've been discussing.
Paul,
Mr. Cussy,
I'd appreciate it if you would.
yeah, Mr. Cussy, feel free to join the meeting and comment on the project that you took and how you think it relates to what the village is proposing.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I just want to be clear, we did not use any herbicide. It was strictly digging just to avoid herbicide usage. But yeah, I concur with Josh's that from past experience, it is incredibly invasive and it grows very rapidly. And so, yeah, we were just keen on stopping it early in its tracks. I don't know.
Did you remediate the Phragmites in the water as well as on the land?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was mostly on the land, but as Josh was saying, that the roots, it's sort of the root system's sort of the same. So yeah, the parts that are in the water are really connected to the land, but the short answer is both land and water.
And has it been long enough to see if it really worked, the remediation? Or is it recent?
Yeah, it was last fall. It has worked, and I've gone back with the crews. Even like a 1-inch piece of root that's left over will sprout a little leaf, and so we just go back manually. Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cool. So Josh, you're just looking for everyone's concurrence to reach out. I think that makes total sense.
I think we just need to get property owners' approval
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
remediate.
Agree.
And I think we just deal with the economics later, honestly.
Mayor, any issue with that?
No, I think that's a great idea. I think we have to get if you'll pardon the expression, a buy-in from all the property owners before we were to undertake this project, because I'm not all that familiar, but if one property owner says, I'm not doing it, then we can assume that whatever Phragmites are on his property will ultimately spread down the shoreline to those properties that agreed and had Phragmites removed. It all has to be gone, or we just can't. I can't undertake the project.
So, if the digging out has so far worked pretty well, as long as you keep at it with new sprouts, could we look at just doing that and not the herbicide?
Yeah, we can for sure. We don't need to make that decision today, or have that debate today. That would be my inclination as well, Michelle. But
Josh, understood. I think everyone's in agreement to reach out to the property owners.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we don't need a resolution. John, would you be able to do that? Determine who the landowners are?
Yes, I'll speak to Josh tomorrow unless he can send me a map. I don't think I received anything, but I'll have to look.
I'll send you what you need.
Thank you.
We have a spreadsheet with all the property owners.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Now, the next item involves as we discussed in the past and decided that the cost was just too high, expansion of Village Hall. And the deputy mayor and I had talked about the possibility of expanding in the other direction. In other words, we have a file room, a bathroom, and we have a garage space, a single large garage space. And perhaps if we were able to expand through half that garage space, we would be able to increase the file room, and we might also be able to fit a small conference room in there. I don't know whether any of you have thought about that as an alternative to the project we simply couldn't undertake.
Why would that be cheaper than going this way?
I believe it would be cheaper because, first of all, I don't think the foundation work would have to be done.
Okay.
That was required for going in this direction. And of course, the amount of space we would use is much smaller. I mean, going in this direction, it was a very large,
Yeah.
it's a very large space. This would be half, maybe a little bit more than half of the single garage.
Got it.
So I guess the question is there any interest among the trustees in pursuing the possibility of expanding the file room?
Yeah, as long as the cost, I mean, I think a lot of us reacted to the material cost of that, given if this is a fraction of that, I think we should look into it.
I mean,
Trustee,
we do have to deal with the water issues that are in there. You know, we'd have to mitigate that.
Talking about, yeah.
and we would also, as part of the project, perhaps remove the floor of the current file room, which is buckling,
Yes.
and repair the floor of the bathroom, which is
Mhm.
also buckling, the bathroom in the corner.
Did we ever talk about going digital with our files? I thought we got a grant or.
Yeah.
We never got a grant. We talked about it. We had a meeting, a presentation by a company that was willing to work with us, but we never applied for a grant as far as I can recall.
So just one thought, we should be going digital no matter what, right? Like, so totally agree with trustee Tenari's comment, but whether or not we expand, I think we still should go digital,
Yeah,
right?
but-
Like,
Yeah.
Well, my question was, I don't know that side well enough, but does a file room become a conference room if we don't need dedicated file space? I don't, it might
That's
not
a good question.
make any sense. I'm not sure.
that's a good question.
I think we definitely need storage space in general. And there have been other discussions offline about digitizing a lot of our paperwork, but it's gonna take a little time. And
The quote was very expensive. I mean,
there's other things that we've looked into and
To digitize was expensive.
oh yeah, the per page quote, like $2.50 for an extra long, like something that you'd use for land use, $2.50 for a single page.
Wow.
For like a blueprint. I was like, wow,
Wow.
we got a lot of.
John has a lot of.
Yeah. I think if you look at John's office, there's stuff that he does need to keep, and then
Yeah, of
you look
course,
at, you know, that last garage over there, that's jam-packed. That could probably be digitized, and then we could use some space just to alleviate the congestion in John's office.
there are some other options we've looked into, and I'll brief the board when we have more time.
So John, would the next step be for you to come up with work to get an estimate on what this would cost?
Yeah, we have to get some estimates.
Yeah. Seems reasonable.
Okay,
Let's take a look.
yeah, well, we don't need a resolution on that. We just dump it on John's desk like everything else. Okay, all right, the next item is increased bond authorizations. I think the deputy mayor has some updates on that.
Yes, I sent you, I'm sorry it took so long for me to get you that email, but our last meeting didn't end till 5:15 to discuss some of these capital projects. So Joanne Hanson, John and I met this afternoon with the engineers to discuss Pond 3 Dam and what our options are there. So since we don't have a revised estimate of how much we're gonna spend on that project, we can wait before we change the bond authorization. Right now, the bond authorization is for 250,000 for Pond 3. And it looks like it's gonna be, you know, a little over 400. So we might as well wait till we get the exact number. So that what we can maybe August or hopefully August, we'll have an estimate, so we know what to do as far as that bond authorization. And then we're putting the sewer improvements out for bid again, so we'll wait on that. That will definitely need to be increased. And then I had thought that each water main project had its own bond resolution, but then when I went back to go through it again, it was an aggregate amount of 4.5 million. So since the projects we currently are going to be working on starting this year add up to 3.6 million. So we're okay as far as that bond authorization. So we might as well just wait until we have updated numbers on Pond 3 Dam and the sewer.
Michelle, can we talk offline about the structure of the rebids? If we want to change anything before they go out, or did they already go out?
No, they haven't gone out. I think that, one company had a great price for one portion of the project and the other company had a great price for the other, so that's why we were gonna separate them.
I'm still concerned about the no cap, no fixed amount, and there could just be cost overruns. Like, it's not a lump sum price.
There could be, you could adding a not to exceed, something like that.
Okay, we could do it, to add that into.
Yeah, to add some kind of protection for cost overruns into it.
Okay.
Was it Weston and Sampson?
Weston Sampson structured the bid. I guess there's always change orders that come in, right?
It would change things, but if they bid, if they
Oh, I
a
see. what you're
detailed
saying.
bid and then all of a sudden the price is different.
Okay.
I think what last call we had when I was asking a bunch of those questions, he said there really is no protection against the prices going higher, which wasn't ideal.
How does that usually work?
Going out to bid, you're just seeing what the market is going to give you.
Yeah, but they're responding to what we're asking them to respond to. That's what I want to make sure we're asking in a structure that is the most protective.
Very specific and detailed.
And with possibly a not to exceed number,
Yeah.
even if
Some-
even if it's a percentage of what they bid, a not to exceed. So there is a cap there somewhere.
Yeah, there's some kind of, I didn't see the whatever the bid document is yet. I think you sent it to me a while ago.
I think I did. You talk, which bid do you want to see?
Well,
So
I
I'll
think
make sure.
whichever one we're rebidding.
That's the SSES.
Yeah.
Because that's the one where I think the manhole pricing on one contractor
Yeah,
is much better than another contractor. Okay,
Yeah.
The ones that are done are done.
yes.
You wouldn't want to put a dollar number in the bidding documents though, because that kind of.
No, I
Want to
guess
put a percentage?
I'm used to not municipal bidding, so there's obviously different rules that you can and ways to do it, but I'm sure there's a way
There's a
to
way.
achieve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe a percentage or something.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna kick that over for at least 1 month, right?
Yes, and then next year we'll be putting the East Village water main out for bid.
Hmm.
Right now, it's estimated to cost 1.7 million. That's the estimate right now. So we would need to increase the bond authorization from 4.5 to 5.5. But that's, next year after we get the bids back.
Okay. You've done some great work, so when we're talking about next year, you're not running for reelection, we're gonna miss you dearly.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. All right, moving on to new business. Cooper Arias has been doing our audits annually, and we would like to, at least from my perspective, we'd like to retain them again to do the audit. They provided a proposal on June 24th. I don't know whether the trustees have a chance to see it. The audit will be charged at hourly rates up to $30,000 a year. Deputy Mayor, do you know what we paid them last year?
This is a good question that I can't give you an answer until we have our actuals to budget numbers figured out,
Okay,
which will happen after we do the next.
okay, then we'll move on to the next contract, so at least the trustees will know what it cost last year as compared to this year. The next contract is, again, Cooper Arias, which is item number B, is accounting services to assist the treasurer and the deputy mayor in going through the village financial reports, assist in preparing accurate budget to actual, assist the village board and the business office with the budget process, assist with annual tax cap filings, assist members of the business office in proper accounting procedures, availability for members of the business office or village board to contact them, and other services that are normally provided daily or monthly by an accounting firm. And it is an hourly rate of $200 to $225 per hour for the partners, $125 per hour for the supervisors, and the audit staff gets $75 to $95 per hour. And we are desperately in need of their services.
Yes,
Um,
they did send, they didn't send their principals to help Elizabeth last year get ready for the audit.
Right.
They sent, the.
sent the staff.
The staff.
Yeah, they sent the staff.
And so that's, I'm sure, the group that will be helping Rachel bring everything up to date. I mean, because last year we had budgeted 25,000 for the audit. That was the contract we signed.
Yeah.
And Andrew Arias swears this isn't the number, but in the report through April 9th, it's showing 46,000, which I know isn't the number.
Okay, not the
So
number.
we can't really figure out the actuals until.
All right, so
they
we
come
need
here.
them to figure out the actuals, and then we can compare what the actual cost of the last year's audit was to what their proposal is this
Makes
year.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So I'll make a motion with respect to their auditing services. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor to sign the Cooper Arias accounting services proposal dated April 14th of 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by the trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Passed
And-
unanimously. Okay.
The audit is 30,000, did you say?
The audit is
Okay.
30,000.
So last year, we believe the contract was 25, so.
So they bumped it up.
So-
Okay. Do you want to wait until we
I
get?
think I think we can, because the sooner they can start working on the audit for the year that ended May 31st of this year, the sooner the better.
Okay. Any discussion on that? It's essentially a $5,000 increase for their services. Okay, all right, then I'll make a motion that the Board of Trustees authorize the mayor to execute the auditing services agreement with Cooper Arias as set forth in the letter dated June 24th, 2026 from the firm. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Right. Next item, we return to trustee Scherer, which is the milfoil issue.
Okay, so milfoil is fairly straightforward. It's another invasive plant that historically we had a very significant issue with in our lakes. We did have to treat our lakes at fairly significant expense. I can't remember what year that was, but I think it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We understood that on a go-forward basis that we'd have to remediate ever so often, but wanted to avoid having to use Priscillacor again in the future. The way you do that is by using divers. They came in last year. Unfortunately, they didn't pull that much, but we do have pockets of milfoil in the main lake as well as in the Weewa We have a proposal, which I sent to the board and is on the website from New England Aquatics, for divers. The rate is roughly $3,000 a day. They're estimating that it'll take approximately 5 days of work. So the estimated cost is $15,000. This is another item that the Lakes Committee has discussed and unanimously supports moving forward with. I know Jim Hayes is on the call. If trustees have questions I can't answer.
I actually have a related issue. I added an item involving seeking an engineering proposal to raise the level of the water intake pipe on Tuxedo Lake to avoid the rising anoxic layer. I've had a conversation with Professor Hayes about this. And
Just, I'm sorry, Mayor, not to interrupt you, but the milfoil is somewhat different than the issue you're raising, but we can address it here.
I actually, the connection between the two are the divers. And the reason I'm raising it is I was wondering if, as part of our retention of the diving services, we could have the divers photograph the water intake, so that once we seek, and if we decide to seek an engineering proposal to essentially apply an elbow going up to the water intake to raise the water intake level from 24 feet to maybe 21 feet to buy us some time, we'd have some photographs of the water intake and its current position. I don't know how many pipes there are. Is it one? Is it two? I don't know the answer to that question. And if the divers are going to go into Tuxedo Lake, it would be great if they could take some photographs to assist us in a separate project, a completely separate project. But I'm just wondering whether that might be possible as part of the retention of the divers who are working for New England Aquatic, if the board wants to proceed in that direction. Trustee Scherer?
I mean, my reaction is this is not what New England Aquatics does. I don't even know if they have underwater cameras. We can definitely ask them the question.
That would be all I would request. We could ask them the question whether they have the ability to photograph a facility underwater. Thank you.
I will ask them.
Thank you. Okay.
By the way, for what it's worth, I'm not dismissive of it. I think it's a great idea because putting in an elbow is, I think, a good potential interim solution to our oxygenation issue.
Which we will discuss almost immediately.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I guess would you like to make the motion, Trustee Scherer, with respect to New England Aquatic Services?
Sure. I don't have a lot of information in front of me, but let me
It's $14,750.
I mean, I'll make it if you don't have the vote.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't have it here in front of me.
Okay, all right. I'll make a motion that we retain the services of New England Aquatic Services of Sherman, Connecticut, to assist to hire essentially divers to remove Eurasian milfoil in Tuxedo Lake at a daily rate of $2,950 for a 5-day period, for a total amount of $14,750 as set forth in their proposal, which involves coordination with A.J. Reyes, our lakes manager from GAI, and indicates where they're supposed to take the weeds that they pull. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Turner. Any discussion? Any further discussion?
I just want to,
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Yes, we're in discussion phase, Professor.
You know, this, it should be all three lakes, not just Tuxedo Lake. The milfoils,
It is, Jim. This is not just for the Tuxedo
Well,
Lake.
it's actually two of the lakes.
It's two, according to the quote.
According to the quote, it's Tuxedo Lake and Weewa. It is not Pond 3.
they weren't able to do a survey of Pond 3 because the water was low last year, but so there's probably in there as well. But I don't know what you can do about that.
Yeah, Professor, that's a great point. So I guess if they do a third lake, it's probably gonna cost more
No,
money.
no, I don't know that it is gonna cost, again, this is a daily rate. I think we'll just, let's just ask them to take a look at the, Pond 3 as well.
Great.
Okay, we'll just add it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sort of interesting, just in terms of accounting, any work done on the Tuxedo Lake as a reservoir would come out of the water fund
Oh.
as compared to the general fund. So we'd like a breakdown from New England Aquatic
Okay.
Service,
That's great.
if that would be possible. Okay, all in
Okay, yeah,
favor?
we'll ask for that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask
I do have
them three things. It's gonna, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Trustee Sherrill.
No, so it's gonna be three things. We're gonna see if they can do some underwater photography for us, add Pond 3, and then also give us a breakdown of the costs.
Yep, thank you.
So, yeah,
Okay.
I was just looking at the breakdown in our budget between the general fund support of lakes management and the water fund support of lakes management. So I know we have 15,000 in the general fund for next year and 42,500 in the water fund. So let's think about that. What, the general fund can support the copper sulfate and some of the Phragmites work, as well as some of a portion of the milfoil. Because removing milfoil isn't just to improve the reservoir, it's also for general,
Should we take that offline? It's a fair point, but it's,
I'm not worried about resolving it now. I think we could
Okay.
approve this
Yeah.
but just.
think about it. Yeah. Understood.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Sherrill, I assume you're an aye?
Aye.
Okay,
Yes, I am an aye.
great, all right.
Just want to make sure it gets it.
The next topic is again yours, Trustee Sherrill, involving grants for oxygenation system for Tuxedo Lake.
Yep, okay. So this is gonna, so I submitted a presentation on, that is online and available. It's called Protecting the Tuxedo Lake, Our Drinking Water Source. So I'll just give you the executive summary. I'm not gonna go through that presentation. So what's the challenge? The challenge is that obviously the lake is our primary drinking water source. The 2025 monitoring by our lakes manager, GEI consultants, showed that the anoxic layer or anoxic conditions, which is low oxygen, had risen to and above the 8-meter drinking water intake depth for the first time in at least 6 years. So now that happened for a moment in time. It wasn't sustained. I don't think anyone on this phone noticed any changes to their drinking water. But if you look at the long-term trends, the long-term trend has been for this anoxic layer to be moving up. What are the key issues? There's elevated iron, manganese, hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and phosphorus are released from the sediments at the bottom of the lake. What happens when we have this anoxic level is it can potentially increase dramatically the treatment costs and potentially have taste, odor, and staining issues with our tap water and also result in a higher algae bloom risk, including harmful blooms. So it just unfortunately, it leads to a trend where you have this feedback loop of more nutrients, more algae, more oxygen loss, and declining water clarity for most of the season. So if it's unaddressed, if we just sit back and continue to do what we're doing, we're just going to have higher long-term costs. We're going to have potentially significant water quality risks and maybe some regulatory concerns. So the recommended solution, which was recommended to us, I believe, last year by GEI consultants, our lake manager, after significant research, I might add, they proposed what's called a hypolimnetic oxygen system. It is a proven technology that's used in drinking water reservoirs nationwide. What it does is it adds pure oxygen to the cold bottom waters via lake bed diffusers, and it prevents the release of metals and nutrients without mixing the different thermal layers in the lakes. Benefits are we get cleaner raw water for treatment, reduced algae risk, which, by the way, will mean we have to do fewer copper sulfate treatments. It improves the fish habitat and lowers long-term costs associated with treating the water. So there are some significant benefits, and I recognize that there are skeptics in the audience and maybe on the board, but we don't need to have the debate around whether or not that's the best system today. And you'll understand why in a second. So the preliminary estimate for that cost was $550,000. Obviously, would be very significant. There are some modest ongoing operating costs, mainly associated with electricity costs. I think they're in the range of around $30,000 a year. There's a couple of different grants that we want to apply for. The first is an immediate one. It's a New York State DEC NPG grant. It's a non-agricultural, non-point source planning grant, which is a grant for a feasibility study. This is a tight deadline. Needs to be. We need to apply by the end of July. The wheels are already in motion. GEI is got some grant consultants. The Lakes Committee is helping out. Jim and Chuyen and others have raised their hands to help get the information necessary for that grant application. John has also been helping out. That grant is important because, again, there will be a feasibility study. That feasibility study, I think, will be very useful for hopefully demonstrating to skeptics in the village that this is a viable strategy for solving the problem. More importantly, or as importantly, it allows us then to follow up with what's called a WQIP grant for the construction. And if we were awarded that grant, our burden would only be 25% of the total cost. So it would be a 25% match. So rough numbers, you're talking about $125,000 or so, which is obviously much more manageable than $550,000. So timeline would be end of July. We're submitting the NPG grant application. That should be an immediate priority. 26 to 27 timeframe, we're conducting this feasibility study and designing the project. And 27, 28 would be the second grant application, engineering, permitting, with construction, hopefully at some point in 2028. So the only thing I really want this board's support for at this point is to authorize the submission of this NPG grant application. And we can, have whatever debates we need later on. I will tell you a lot of the work that we're doing, whether it's working on watershed best management practices, ongoing monitoring of the lakes, dealing with the Eurasian water milfoil management. All of that is, important, as is, really continuing to educate and educate our village residents and monitoring the use of fertilizers, which do add to the phosphorus and the algae blooms, and as a result, the anoxic level rising. So that's all I have. Again, I just would like this. I wanted to bring this up because I think it's important that everyone here understands this is, now that that anoxic level has hit our water intake pipe. I think Jim Hayes has been very vocal, and I'm sure he'll have something to say now. He's very concerned that come October and the fall, that we may have a big problem on our hands. I'm less concerned about that. I do think, Mayor, to your point, are there some proactive moves that we can do while we're going through this process? Either putting an elbow on the existing pipe to raise the height of the intake pipe, or another suggestion by Weston and Sampson was having not just having an elbow, but having 2 intake pipes so that we can draw depending on where the best water quality is. I think that actually separately is going to require an engineer to design it, make a recommendation. So we'll have to do that separately. But I think that's something we can talk about at the next board meeting.
Josh, my only question on the grant is, does it have to just study one option, or could it study feasibility of a bunch? Because we're going to find ourselves in a position where we have feasibility for one, and you have no other options.
And again, I would encourage you, and I'm happy to send it to you, to go back to, and I'm happy to set up a call with you and our lake consultant. They reviewed numerous options, Matt, and they determined that this was, I believe, the only solution for a lake of our size. There are lots of solutions for smaller water bodies, but this is a fairly large lake, and this is the one that they identified as being viable for our lake.
Can you send that back around? Was that from last year or something?
It was last year. Yeah.
That was last year. I will find that. I will, and if you have questions, I don't know that presentation exhaustively outlined the other options that were explored.
When he presented it, he did. So he said when he presented
an easier way to do this, Matt, maybe for you to, and I don't know if there's an easy way to search the record, but to go back and actually look at that presentation, because it was a presentation to the Board of Trustees by AJ. Going back and finding the video.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, one thing I would say is, clearly you guys have put a lot of work into this, so thank you. And I'm supportive of the applying for the grant. Do you actually even need board approval for that, or?
I don't think so. There may be some nominal. I think, John, we're being asked to I think we have to provide support, either in kind or monetary, of around $5,000. I personally would rather just make that a monetary contribution so that we get the grant. But John, I don't know if you have any perspective or information on that.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, having the study would really strengthen our application for the 25% grant.
I don't think we should apply for the 25% without this feasibility study.
We really need that.
Yeah, Michelle, that's a great point. So, Mayor, do we need to move on anything here?
We do not.
Great.
We do not.
Okay.
They'll move forward. They
Do we,
don't.
do we want to, I don't know if Professor Hayes is still on.
Oh, yeah,
but Jim, I don't know if
Professor-
you want to add anything to what I
Sure.
said.
Give him the opportunity. Professor Hayes, you have any comments before we move on to the next item?
He may have had to step away.
Okay,
No, wait a minute. No, I'm here. Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
we can hear you.
I-
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm very concerned because I think if, I'm glad and I agree with everything that Josh has said, and he made a very good presentation. But if we don't do anything and come this fall, since it was already very close to the intake pipe last fall, and if it rises and guts above, and we start sucking in this water, which is going to smell like rotten eggs, and it will be staining, and it's not just drinking water. It's going to be what you wash your clothes with. It's what you wash your dishes with, and it is pretty foul stuff. And it is possible. There are a couple of ways. The mayor's suggestion of an elbow is that's a good one, but it needs somebody to do something about it. And the other is that our sewage, our water plant can probably treat this bad water, but I don't think it at the moment is equipped to do that. So we probably should find out, the board should probably look into what would be needed to do to the plant, what would have to do to the plant to allow it to treat the water or get the elbow, whatever can be done. But
Professor Hayes, that's a good point. John, can we find out?
I'll look into it. We have lowered the pipe in the past for different purposes. I don't think it's overly technical.
Yeah, so there's also two pieces. One is the raising, putting the elbow, but the second piece is what if, God forbid, to the professor's point, if that water does get to the elbow or wherever the pipe is, would our current infrastructure be able to actually make it potable?
That's really a question of the company that we do deal with from time to time that understands the plant and what necessary additional treatment would be necessary if this ever happened. That's a whole other question.
It might be worthwhile connecting them with AJ or whoever, Josh.
I will. I will. I also think this also may be a job, depending on how fast the project moves along, the water line under Tuxedo Lake. That contractor may be very well suited to adjust the pipe.
Sounds like Josh doesn't agree with me.
No, there's no point putting, the person who, knows how to treat our water in touch with AJ or me. Like that's not gonna do anything.
So, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, Josh. I was thinking about it. We know what type of water the professor's worried about. If we just have some specifics and say, hey,
this happens
at these conditions.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's just a question for them. Like if the anoxic level hits our pipe and we're sucking in water, that type of water, what do we need to do to the plant, if anything, to be able to treat that type of water?
Yep, agreed.
That's all we need to find out. It's not putting them in touch with anyone. It's finding out from them what it is we need to do to either modify the plant or somehow change the chemical mix that we're using.
Yep.
I'll get an email out tomorrow to the people that we deal with who understand the plant design.
Awesome.
All right, the next item is the engineering proposal for the elbow. We'll table that till trustee Sherrick can get back to us to find out whether we can get any photographs.
Well, yeah, I don't even know if it's just photographs. I don't have a good sense, John, maybe you do, for who we turn to for that engineering project. Is that Weston and Sampson?
GEI, perhaps?
I believe Weston and Sampson was responsible for designing the lowering years ago. So it's best we just go back to them and tell them, what do we have to do to raise the pipe? And
Okay, so we had a preliminary conversation with them during our capital planning committee on Monday. Why don't I speak, John, unless you want to, I can speak with them and see how they would propose moving forward on that.
sure.
Okay, we'll table that, and I can pick up the discussion at the next meeting. Okay, on to a different subject. Discussion regarding rentals of non-residential properties such as boathouses, barns, garages, pools, tennis courts, etc., to the public for parties and other events. So the history of this is pretty recent. A resident has offered for rent a boathouse on an hourly basis for events. It seems to be limited to a particular type of event, but it just raises the question of what the village's position should be with respect to offering your non-residential accessory properties, the pools, the tennis courts, the boathouses, the garages, the barns, for public rental for events. So it's a discussion I think that's worth having. Jay Reichgott started the discussion, so I open the floor to anyone. We'll start with the deputy mayor. You have any
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Yes, I do. I have quite a few.
Okay.
Go you.
Well, and first of all, I appreciate the comments that Jay Reichgott gave us earlier in the background on commercial you called it commercial use of homes for home businesses. But and before I make any other comments, are backyards included? Would backyards be included in this? Do you think, or would that be considered part of your?
I think I would
That's part of
consider,
your
that's
home?
part of your home, yeah.
So we're only talking about buildings.
We're talking about
or
accessory buildings and structures.
structures,
Yeah.
tennis courts.
I mean, this is all subject to, to discussion.
Right.
Because, we can designate what's included in our discussion, and we can always expand it.
Right.
Is that backyard thing a concern? or-
Well, I thought there was a reg
yeah.
already that you can't do short-term rentals in the
Yeah.
park.
Well,
That's
there's
right.
that.
Short-term rentals of your home, of your residence.
Well,
Yeah, of the residents.
Oh, it actually says residents.
Residents, yeah,
Yeah.
it refers to residents.
This has a
That's why we're having
minimum-
this discussion of non-residential.
I think,
Yeah.
actually, I just think change it to the property.
What's that?
Just change it to property. And
Well,
And then-
let's
okay,
talk.
that's an easy way
That's
to do
great,
it.
but let's talk
Okay.
about how we feel about.
Yeah, well, I
about
think
that.
I think I just said
that,
how I feel.
I mean, you'd like the blanket prohibition. Okay,
yeah,
that's
okay,
fine.
good.
All right.
End of discussion. I'm in total agreement with you
Okay.
because, I mean, I'm certain, I feel that whoever wrote the code, certainly never thought that people would rent out their pools and tennis courts and boathouses, barns, whatever they have for commercial gain. I'm sure that never entered the thought of the people who wrote the code. So number one, and then, if people object to us having a blanket prohibition, where do you draw the line? Where, there's just impossible to, and then you asked about backyards. And what if somebody wanted to rent your backyard so they could put up a tent and have a wedding? Where do you draw the line? So I think I like.
So the one
Jen's
thing I would
approach.
say, I would be supportive of the blanket change to property, but I do think, and Jay just reminded me, I do think the Board of Trustees should be able to,
Have an exception
Have an
process.
exception
Yeah, I agree with
process.
that. I agree. But that,
if
but
it's
that's an
like a
exception
real
process.
legitimate, some reason why someone is really asking and needs it or
Yeah.
something, like we should be able to say, you have a one-time permit for whatever it is that you need.
But the board has to do that.
Yeah, the board has to do
yeah.
that. It's not just like a open policy. That would be my suggestion.
It's an easy solution.
Yeah, well, that's an easy solution because we just had to make certain amendments to existing law, existing code provision. Trustee Scherer, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I think that's reasonable. I mean, I think that Michelle said it well. It's a slippery slope. It's like let's just say any property. But I also think there needs to be a release valve, which is what was just proposed, which is you can plead your case to the trustees, and if an exception is warranted, then you might get it.
Okay. Well, then I'll talk to the village attorney about drafting a code provision or amending the current code provision, and we'll take it from there. Thank you all. Anybody else? Jay, any follow-up comments?
Do you agree with everything that was said?
Well,
No.
I have a few comments. First, pools are sort of their own class of things. There's just been an issue of pool rental, pool B&B, if you will, in other municipalities has been an issue. And one of the reasons is your private pool has completely different rules about sanitation and protection and safety equipment than a public pool. And if you're renting your pool, you just became a public pool owner. And I would also suggest that while you guys are deciding what you're doing about renting outbuildings, et cetera, you take the opportunity to solve this other question about filming.
Yeah. Well, not tonight. Okay.
But Jay, what we just talked about though, doesn't that resolve the pool
Yeah,
thing?
it-
You just
it does.
Yeah. If you chose to make,
I think just property in general
Yeah.
is just.
Yeah.
chose to make a. One second.
Oh,
So what
she
did
dropped her glasses, I think.
Well, it's efficient.
Yeah, that was, I had all these like things. to-
Sorry.
But, no, I'm glad
Okay,
there was an easier solution.
great. Okay, then we'll work on a draft code provision that'll and put it up. We'll have to have a public hearing and we'll go through the whole process. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. The last item on the agenda is an easy one. It's hiring a part-time police officer. Everyone had a chance to look at the officer's resume. So I will make a motion based upon the recommendation of Police Chief Faust. We authorize the hiring of Peter D. Connolly as a part-time police officer for the Village of Tuxedo Park, based upon his years of experience as a police officer for the MTA. Do I have a second?
Second, it says here the hourly rate. Wanna put that?
Well, the hourly rate is uniform.
Oh, okay.
It's uniform for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm supportive, but just a question from Michelle. This doesn't change any of your budgeting. This is just swapping hours with different people. Is that right?
Well, it will reduce hopefully overtime,
Overtime.
which is in the budget, so.
And he's, the chief's worried about some of the younger.
Yeah,
people
yeah.
getting
And,
picked up.
yeah,
Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, we need
Most likely will lose.
we need these part-timers, to man the booth.
There's only so many hours in a week, so it shouldn't.
Right. That's what I mean.
increase.
It's just like moving the hours around.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Trustee
Aye.
Shara?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that's unanimous. All right. Now-
Claims, but what's that about?
Yeah, audit of claims. Would everybody please sign the audit of claims? Any significant budget transfers?
Going to be because we had 3 bonds that were due, so it's going to be coming out of the general fund and also the sewer fund. So we're going to have to be making some transfers.
Transfer to the sewer fund and the general fund?
Yes. Okay.
From the sewer fund to the general.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
They're due every August until the maturity date.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a debt service. That's our
Unfortunately.
obligation. There's nothing much to
Yeah.
talk about unless we want to go chapter 9.
No.
Okay, good. All right. Now we move on to closing comments. Any members of the public have any comments they'd like to make? Okay. Anybody online? Any comments? All right. Seeing no hands, last call. All right. Any trustee comments? Any trustee Tenari, trustee Turner, deputy mayor?
Well, I just want to say one thing. I see Joanne just left, but Joanne, John and I mentioned earlier, had an hour and a half brainstorming session about Pond Tree Dam And I see that he just sent us pictures which really explain a lot. But I'm not able to open it, but maybe if you could figure out how to open that file and then send the pictures. Michelle talk about them. And
that email just came in,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yes.
couldn't open it.
Yeah.
I couldn't open
Yeah,
it.
it's like a secure
It's a
message.
secure message.
Yeah, so anyway, oh, just one more?
Yes.
So anyway, those pictures really help understand the issue. And that we came up with several different options for them to explore to try and mitigate how much more repointing we're gonna have to do.
John, this is a follow-up to our
Is it-
on-site?
is it-
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. It's good to hear. All right, the next item is executive session. So I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing possible real estate transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I do have a final comment.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I just wanted to extend a thank you to Rachel for the help that she gave me in digging up minutes and everything else to put that package together for you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you. That'll be noted for the record. Have a good evening,
Have a good
Mr.
night.
Reichscott.
Nice share.
I didn't think that was good. All right. All right, we are back from executive session. There are no resolutions. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Tenari. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.